everybody. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Valerie Sanchez. I'm the founder of Groove and Wellness Online Studio, and I'm also your lead teacher should you step in and take virtual classes with me here at the studio. I am really excited and thrilled about this opportunity to share with you a tiny snippet of the amazingness that bubbles up in our community, within our Nia dancing community. For me personally, getting to know people who I co-create with and who I share and explore movement with, to get to know them off of the dance floor is really the juice, and it's the prize, and it's the reward of being invested in Nia. They make my experience, they make teaching worth it. I'm here with my good friend, sister, dancing buddy, mama friend, and all things of beauty, Laurel Nakanishi, here today. And she's going to share with us a little bit about her Nia journey and what Nia has been weaving or revealing throughout her life as she dances through life with a class like Nia. Laurel is a writer, a teacher. She's an art organization. She takes everything that she does and really gives it this magical spin of an artistic twist. I have to share this because I can't help myself. I myself have been diving into some of Laurel's words and her perspective and her take on the world. And to be completely frank, I can see how some of these words manifest while we're on the dance floor. So I'm excited to kind of just piece it all together. So I want to give you an opportunity to jump in here, Laurel. Tell us where you're at today. Where are you tuning in from? And maybe 2 words on how you feel.
So I am in Kapalama on the island of Oahu. I'm feeling a little bit cold because my kid is not asleep yet. And I can hear him. And I know, right? So my brain, half my brain is like, what is going on over there? He's doing laps around the crib recently. And then also just really grateful to get to share space with you, Valerie. Really fun.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you for creating some time. And this is like the fun part, right? As mama friends, we get together and dance through all the comedy that may show up throughout the day. So we're bringing you into our world a little bit today. And the
Mhm.
first question I actually want to ask Laurel is when she discovered Nia and if she remembers how she discovered or how Nia discovered her, whichever way you may want to approach that.
Yeah, so I first heard about Nia from a friend, Janine, who she was over at our house and talking about this experience she had at a Nia class. It was with Valerie, and she was just saying there were some movements that she was doing that touched really emotionally for her and like unlocked some of her feelings of strength and fierceness. And I thought that was so fascinating that that movement could do that and kind of bring forth sides of especially myself as a woman and Janine as a woman that often we are not encouraged to be fierce
Hmm.
or strong in that way. And so I was very curious. And then Janine and her partner Ben invited my partner and I to a class at the Still and Moving Center. And I think it was Chinese New Year's. And so we were dancing and there's dragons and it was just really fun. And I remember just being like, yes, I get to move in this really exciting way. And I love that there was structure to help me kind of like e- move into certain kind of feelings and positions, but then also there's a lot of freedom too. And I remember just being so excited about that and excited about you, Valerie. It was just fun to be with your energy in that space.
Think you kind of answered my second question, which was going to be, what do you enjoy most about Nia? But I don't want to make that assumption. What I gathered was that there was this sense of relief and excitement around experiencing or being exposed to both a movement class that can provide you form and that also gives you a very open invitation for you to move with freedom. Did I make the wrong assumption there?
No, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
If you can throw out three words, what may those three words be if you were to describe Nia in your
Hmm.
experience?
My experience. I've only ever had you as a teacher too. So I definitely feel a lot of joy in our classes and our time together. It feels very joyful. And I think opening as well, um, and centering for me, especially when I'm coming to a class from various other parts of my life and just to just kind of be like, ah, I'm in this body. And feeling that various aspects of the movement of my body is just really centering.
Hmm. Centering, I like that. I need a lot of practice in centering, more so than I ever have had with a toddler. I don't know if that resonates or speaks to you too. So I have found that my practice in dancing Nia has really been a tool and a resource more so than just a method of feeling fit or connecting to movement because of where my nervous system tends to be nowadays.
Hmm. I know. You're like, whew, okay, we're
I
all
know.
breathing through this one. Yeah.
Exactly. In its essence, what Nia invites us to do is not only to come do movement and fitness and self-care on our own terms in our way, but it really is also about helping us create this connection between body, mind, emotions, and spirit. And for us in Nia, in the practice itself, spirit is identified or defined as that is like uniquely you, something that nobody can do like you, which is exactly why when you come into a Nia class, you will notice that everybody looks different. Even if we may all be raising our right hand, we all do this different, and our bodies all carry different histories. Therefore, the way you manifest the movements will be unique. I wonder if this has dawned upon you that Nia gives you this invitation to connect body, mind, emotions, and spirit. If that has happened for you, what are some of those notable changes or revelations that have showed up in those realms for you? If you can identify one, or if you want to briefly go through them.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like Nia in some ways is similar to my mindfulness practice, of focusing on the breath and really taking a pause between like an emotion and a reaction. And I think that Nia also in its own way, because I know it's coming from a different tradition, because the mindfulness practice I work with is Buddhist, but it's coming from a different tradition, Nia, but still seems to have a lot of commonalities of really kind of focusing on the breath and the movement and the present moment. And so I think spiritually really connect to that aspect of it. And also just the way that Nia invites me to pay attention to parts of my body, like the bones, the spine, and different joints that I normally just kind of don't know much about or don't pay attention to. And so, like, having that knowledge is like that light can shine on the different aspects of the body is really wonderful. And I think that um, dancing with you, Valerie, just kind of unlocks a lot of joy and happiness. And I think that and being silly in my body, and I think that helps kind of regulate my emotions if my if I'm going too far into the stress land, kind of be like, oh, I can touch back into these seeds of joy and bring them into the day with me.
I have a fun question for you. If you
Hmm.
could render a color to your Nia journey so far, you can make up the color, it could be mixed, it could be whatever you want. What pops up for you spontaneously? What comes to you?
I mean, initially I was going to say blue because I love blue, but I feel like it's a little bit like blue. like the blue of the ocean at sunset or sunrise, where it's kind of like a rosy, like blue into like orangey yellow.
Mm,
And from our house, we see a lot of sunsets. And so I'll say a blue at sunset where we have a gradation of light on the water.
I love that. A few things came to me. The minute you said blue, it made me think of the color of communication. Um,
Mm.
and it also, the fact that you kind of see a dissolve or a mix of colors also makes me realize how layered a personal Nia experience can also be. In my experience in the past 12 years, it's never just been the horizon. There's been
Right.
a build and a build and a build, and it kind of meshes in a color. So it's cool and neat to hear how you approach it and how you sense it and see it in your reality and in your world. Love that. Well, I have a question. My last question for you, second to last, is there something that Miss Nakanishi is working on currently that is exciting or enlivening your personal development?
Mm. I feel like at any given moment, I have like 10 things happening. And I'm like, I'm excited about this and this and this and this. So one of the things is I'm writing a book about parenthood and climate change, and it's a book of poetry. And I've been working on it for the last 2 years because I have a 2 year old. So started to write it in those hazy newborn days and just kept on tinkering with it. And I feel excited about it. And just kind of as a way to write and understand by writing, which is a lot of the way that I process as a poet, is working on poems and revising them, and as a way to kind of have a practice of what does it mean to be a parent now? What is climate change going to look like for my kiddo and for all the kiddos? Because I also teach a lot of kids, and just what does it look like in Hawaii? What are some things happening now that are climate change manifested? And yeah, just whenever there's something really big and that feels scary, I feel like turning it into a creative project helps me process it in a way that normally would just be, stagnating if I fall into the worry. So that is happening. And I just started a new job, which is scary but exciting. I'm starting a arts program with the Hawai'i Arts Alliance. It's called HOA. It will place teaching artists into public schools for 3 years at a time to teach in-depth arts experiences like music or dance or drama or literary arts, whatever the artist brings with them. And then also have an integrated experience with the Aina-based organization. So the kids will be, for example, visiting a local ia many times, or a fish pond if people aren't familiar, many times throughout the years, and really developing a relationship with that place on the land and having that fuel their art making. So this is something we're just starting. My job right now is to look for grants. So that's like the big kind of like overwhelming part of it, is like, well, big idea sometimes needs big money, but I'm an artist. How does that happen? So there's a lot of learning that's happening over here. But I'm excited about the vision, and I'm excited about, consistent work for artists, and I'm excited about in-depth arts education for our kids, and really place-based, environmentally focused education. So those are two things. So with writing, it's been a long journey since I was a teenager, I think, and it's just been something that has always, well, not always, I'm dyslexic. So when I was a kid, I hated writing and I didn't do it well or at all until I was a lot older. But once I learned how to read and write when I was in like third or fourth grade, then really started to get into just using my imagination. And poetry is awesome because you can break all the grammar rules and nobody cares. Um, and so I think that that's been a part of my life for a long time, and I've been looking for ways to be a poet in the world and be an engaged poet. And it's led to me to a lot of teaching creative writing in different places. And I think and study too, so dedicating time to really honing the craft and having mentors who are so awesome and meeting other poets and writers. And that work as a poet and as an artist in the world has led me into both first teaching poetry to a lot of times elementary school students in public schools. And now that position has kind of evolved into thinking like, well, what does a better world, better education system look like for our kids? Right now in Hawaii, and this might be the case in a lot of places, there is no arts education in elementary schools. Or if there is, it's a really dedicated teacher. Or sometimes a PTA has enough resources to scrape together the funds to hire somebody part time. Or somebody like my position before, where they would have a program where a teaching artist would come in for a month or two at a time and teach as many kids as they could. But I'm really thinking about how can we make a sea change to really value the arts in not only education but in our lives, that what makes us human, what makes us, you know, kind to each other, what creates a better world is being able to imagine it and build it and make art is making art is part of that. So that's where this whole idea came from, is like, well, what if we had, in long term, in depth arts available to our kids, especially the kids that are not getting it at all? And what if that was really culturally responsive and place based? I feel like I'm kind of giving you my pitch because I'm so
I
excited about this idea right now. But
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
yeah,
This
this
is
is my newest
exactly
impression.
it's this is exactly why I feel that this is just as important as waking up and dancing Nia with each other, because there's all this inspiration and charge that can be running through us, all this life force and that joy and that sense of purpose and in owning and knowing that if you have a skill set or if there's something that you're really passionate about, you can't help yourself. You have to put it out there.
Right.
And to
It's like,
hear
gotta talk
how
about it.
I have to. And for me personally, I don't, we never know who's going to be viewing this and listening and receiving on the other end. But I can tell you personally from my side, my deep appreciation and gratitude for you utilizing those skills and your craft and your profession and your journey to help inspire the keiki, to help inspire the young ones that may not have easy access to the arts or to these different creative outlets that, like you said, that have helped you navigate ebb and flows of your life. So I think it's incredible to find time to talk about this, because I did not know you were doing this, first of all.
Yeah, it's
And
brand new.
it
Yeah.
directly impacts my life because I have a 2-year-old, and
Mhm,
there's going to be a moment in time where I may ask that question, is are these programs available, or is any of this accessible? And then I'll
mhm.
remember, oh, Miss Laurel,
We're building it. We're
ding
building it
ding,
right
she's
now.
making it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big dream, is it's gonna be all over the islands and that there'll be just, lots and lots of really solid quality arts education for our kids. And like, I mean, like we know it takes a lot of work to have these outlets for emotional regulation, and Nia is definitely one of them. And that kind of freedom and creativity you have dancing together. And I think that like the more of that we can have for our kids, because that's where a lot of, like, for the most part, a lot of our kids are going to schools, going to public schools oftentimes. So many of our keiki here in Hawaii are there. That's where they are. So let's offer them these tools, and all the gifts that we get from Nia, which is just so awesome and so joyful. Like, how can we? I think, how can I spread that?
How can somebody learn more about you, even if it's just about you, that then they can kind of fall into the rabbit hole of whatever you may be sharing throughout the next couple months and years?
Yeah, well, I have a website. So if folks want to learn about the poetry that I write or the essays, I also have a series of free poetry writing videos for kids. elementary school aged kids. So if you want to see me and my mom with the puppy puppet getting silly poetry around poetry writing for first and second graders, third graders, that's all there on my website. And
Love
then
it.
also, I know, right? You should check some out with Vincent. Um, and then, so the Hawaii Arts Alliance is also another place to go to for learning about the arts in Hawaii. And I can give that to you too. I'm not sure how updated it is right now with my new program, but it should have a page there soon. So we can
Excellent.
point people there. Yeah.
If there's something you'd want to leave our viewers with in regards to a little curiosity teaser, why would you encourage somebody to step into their first NIA experience? What would be something you may say?
Um,
Why
I
even try
feel
it?
even try. I feel like it's a great way to get curious about your body and to experience something, just a movement that is joyful and opening. I had to do a little movement with it too. But yeah, I feel like it's a really fun way to kind of re-enter into a relationship with your body. Like for me, when after having Rio, after having my kid, it felt like I was just fully dedicated to his care. And then suddenly I was like, you know what, your invitation into Groove and Wellness came at just the right time, and I was able to kind of re-enter into a different relationship with my body, and it felt so good. And so I invite people to think about what that might look like for you.
Beautiful. I love it. I want to thank you for your time, your energy, this space that connects us together. I wasn't always a super fan of technology, and yet I have chosen to walk a mysterious path with the vision and the hopes to encourage the build and sustaining of a virtual community where it feels accessible to be connected to the Hawaii culture, the Hawaiian Islands, and people who are on these islands like yourself doing really cool stuff that can trickle and ripple for many miles to come. It's really a pleasure. If you've tuned in with us today, thank you for taking the time to share wellness, well-being, mystery questions, fun questions, professional and personal questions that make us so uniquely who we are, beautifully the way we are. Thank you so much for tuning in today.